What is happening, Reds? Welcome back to the show. This is the Shankly Sessions, the Liverpool podcast we bring you as part of the upper tier offering. Tonight we're going to be previewing Liverpool versus Man City. Probably these days the biggest game of the season for us. Obviously, this is a massive game. I get the feeling if we get a winner in this game, the winner is going to go on and win the league. I think for us, if we lose or draw, and we give the impetus to City or to Arsenal. We fully expect Arsenal to beat Brentford, but you can let me know your thoughts on that as well. I think it would be very, very difficult when City hit the front coming off that last bend. Very, very difficult to reel them back in. And I think if they do go and beat us on Sunday at Anfield, um, I think they'll probably want to beat Arsenal as well. And I think it would be very difficult then to claw back. So I think we have to be on it this Sunday. I think we really need to get the win. I think if we get the draw, it's kind of damage control. But I think we definitely need to get the win. And we need to figure out a way and do it. We need to bring that chaos and all that kind of stuff that we need. Everyone to be on their game. Everyone laser focused to beat Man City, especially with the injuries that we're dealing with and all that kind of stuff. So we are going to look at lineups. We're going to look at where the matchups come and where the danger comes and all that kind of stuff. We're going to do like a combined 11. So if you're in the chat and you want to drop a combined 11 for City, Liverpool at the moment, and I did it based on injuries at the moment. So obviously Allison is out, so I didn't include him. So anyone who's out isn't included. But before we get into that, Baz is in the chat. Big up, Baz. Good to see you, my friend. All good. Big game for United for you tomorrow, lunchtime against Everton. Should be a cracking game as well. But before we get into the big game at the weekend, let's have a little quick reflection, of course, on last night. Interesting performance last night. Safe to say that Sparta Prague had their chances and had some real good chances. Queven Kelleher was outstanding. But I think it was a very interesting game insofar as it was an interesting lineup. We had a tidy bench, to say the least. Bradley very unlucky to come on and score the OG, of course. But he can put that behind him. But it was a big result, 5-1. Darwin was sublime. Luis Diaz putting in a shift. Some really, really good stuff. McAllister again was outstanding. Endo was outstanding. It was an all-round good performance. At times it was a little bit loose, but I think we kind of went out with the idea to put it to bed. And that's what really the plan was. Let's put this to bed. Let's come off, potentially without any injuries. Obviously, Kanate came off. Hearing today it's a precaution, but he has to have a scan, so he may or may not make Sunday. Joe Gomez came off at halftime, but we're hearing Joe's fine. He's available for Sunday, so that's good, and that might change our plans in there. And again, as always, when we put the our 11 together, it's always with a few that it's fluid and flexible and stuff like that as well. But I think all around last night, I think Darwin was just on it. He was different gravy. Mo as well. Good to see Mo back on the pitch, getting minutes in, shaking off the rust. He was absolutely robbed of that goal, robbed of it. I don't know what VAR was looking at, and I don't know what lines they were drawing, but they were way off on that one last night. But yeah, all round good result. I think it's kind of done at this stage. I think we can afford next week to send out a much changed side and still have that quality on the bench in case it's needed. But we can potentially, I'd say, look forward to now the next round of the Europa League. We can park that. Got a couple of big games coming up starting on Sunday. Feels like a title decider. Really does feel like a title decider. I think the spring for us, if we got a win against City, I think would be massive. Because I think if we beat City on Sunday and we maintain top position, I think Sparta Prague it'll take care of itself on the Thursday. And I think on Sunday, on Paddy's Day against United in the FA Cup, I think we would just take that momentum into that. And how good would it feel, Reds, sitting here next Sunday, knowing we're still top of the league, through in the FA Cup. Round 8 in the bag for us, as Romy One Kenobi says. Romy's in. How are we? How are you, my friend? All good. Good to see you. Round 8, round of 8 is in the bag for you guys. Absolutely. And I think that would be fantastic. Now, the flip side of this, and not to be a negative nanny in any way, but the flip side of this is if we do go out on Sunday and we don't go out with that kind of attitude that we need to put out there in order to be the City side, and it gets unravelled, and we cough up the chances that we've been coughing up, and the quality of City will put them away, and we lose, things could unravel very quickly. And I think if we do lose on Sunday, I think we're going to find it very difficult in the title race, because I think we'll have handed the momentum to City. And I think if City beat us on Sunday, I think they will go on and beat Arsenal. I think if they beat Arsenal, I think it's game over for the league. That's what I think anyway. But again, let us know your thoughts and stuff like that. But yeah, great result. Great result last night. Harvey putting in a shift. Everyone put in a shift. Cody was slightly off it, I have to say. He could have had 2 goals at least. But he was unlucky that he didn't bag them. But again, it's one thing not to finish your chances. It's another thing not to get into those positions. And I think if I see players, I'm always encouraged by players who get into positions to get the chances. And eventually you will start converting them, similar to what we've seen with Darwin as well. If you're getting into the positions, eventually you'll bang the goals. And that finish yesterday, especially for that second goal, I think it was from, was absolutely sublime. Romy One Kenobi, as a neutral, I've never been more excited for a match than the Man City and Liverpool match. Yeah, it's fairly exciting. And funny enough now, I know there's been a little bit of back and forward between Trent and Haaland and stuff like that and all about it. And you know, how winning the trophies we've won means more to our fans and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, it's kind of, it can be a bit jarring, it can be a bit agitating, it can be a lot of different things and stuff like that. And the gaffer spoke about it as well, and we'll touch on his thoughts on it as well. But it's been a little low key, I think, to build up to this. This is a massive game this season. This for me is a title race 6-pointer. And it'll be interesting to see how it goes and who comes out on top and stuff like that. I love the trash talk, makes it more exciting. Yeah, absolutely it does. Only if you go on and back it up. If you don't go on and back it up, it's horrific. Horrific. Before we get into the Jurgen's press conference, because this will be potentially his last press conference against Man City pending the FA Cup. But how have we felt about the battle between these two men? Certainly, you know, we've heard Pep, after winning the league and stuff like that, talking about how important Liverpool has been as a dance partner for City and for himself, and how the pressure that Liverpool has put on City at times has elevated them to reach the standards that they reached. And I can understand that and stuff like that, but certainly losing Klopp out of the league is going to be a massive loss because he's such a personality. And certainly the back and forth between these two guys has kind of been, at times, it's been quite feisty, and at times it's been somewhat of nearly a love affair and a love in. That it has annoyed rivals at times, that there's a kind of an appreciation of each other between these two. They do recognise that they're two of the top managers in the world at the moment. And of course, Romy One Kenobi, you put your own man in there as well, of course, Ancelotti. But these two boys have been two of the top managers fighting battles out for most of the trophies over the last number of seasons. So when that kind of goes away, it's going to be interesting to see what develops in its place and stuff like that. And maybe it's a case that maybe Liverpool, when they bring in the new manager, they might have a little dip and they might have to step out of that light for a little bit. And maybe Arteta is the guy at Arsenal who steps up into that light. Who knows? But let's see what happens. But certainly it's been, at times, the battle between both these men has been mesmerising. Has pushed each other on to unbelievable stuff. The battles between Pep and Klopp has been bigger than the Rock versus Austin rivalry. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Did you think of Austin there because Pep's there with the bald head, is it? Is that what triggered that? Nice one. I like that. I do like that. Um, we are hearing as well. I wanted to talk about it as well before we get into the game. Huge news potentially coming out from the Athletic. That Michael Edwards had made a trip to Boston to agree to become the CEO in full control of footballing matters at Liverpool. And that deal is now potentially in place, about to be announced. And also that Richard Hughes, I think, is coming in as the director of football, who finished up at Bournemouth on Wednesday. And it sounds like that deal is in place as well. So this would be a huge announcement to get Michael Edwards to do a U-turn and come back to Liverpool, even though it's a much bigger position with much more responsibility and stuff like that, would absolutely lift the club. And can you imagine if that announcement is made tomorrow, what a lift it would give to the club going into Sunday? Because this is massive. Because at one stage we were looking at Michael Edwards potentially going to United. We were looking at him potentially going to Chelsea. I think he was also linked with the Newcastle job at one stage and stuff like that. But he always made the point that he didn't want to go into a club again as a director of football. He wanted a much bigger role. So this would be massive for us. And this potentially could be the announcement, dare I say, that maybe sways the decision of Xavi Alonso. And I think if we got Alonso in there working with Michael Edwards, and we've seen the brilliance of Michael Edwards, and the amount of clubs that have wanted him and stuff like that. But if we could get that partnership in there along with Hughes, I think things are going to look very, very bright for Liverpool. And I think it's as well at times when we go in and we talk about, the failings of FSG and all that kind of stuff. For them to get Michael Edwards back over the line, I think that would be a statement of intent from FSG, especially with Jurgen exiting the building. And at times we do have to accept that it's work well done and stuff like that. So really, really impressive. Hope it gets over the line. Love them to announce it before the City game. But if they don't, it sounds like it could be announced at some stage next week. But it could be absolutely huge. We need Limp Bizkit my way in the build-up now. Absolutely. Absolutely. Bonkers is in. Big up, Bonkers. How are you? Michael Edwards incoming. How you feeling about that, Bonkers? That's unbelievable news for us as Liverpool fans, isn't it? Because it looked like it wasn't going to happen. But that's massive. And with Hughes coming in as well from Bournemouth. And if we can sprinkle that little bit of Xavi Alonso magic in on top of that, goodness knows what might happen. It could be amazing. Michael Edwards is the kind of guy that gets in Palhinha off Fulham for about 5 million to be paid over 10 years or something like that. We've seen the deals he's done. Unbelievable. But it's going to be electric. Amaran and Edwards could be a great partnership as well. It could, yeah, absolutely. And he's certainly on my list as well. Wouldn't be overly disappointed in that either. But I think Alonso would be the key one to go for. Bayern looking at De Zerbi. This whole talk of De Zerbi absolutely drives me insane. It's just, what do you make of this? Like, what has that guy done to be in line for a job in one of the biggest European jobs on the planet, Bayern Munich? What has this guy done? I don't understand it. I hear people, talking about how last season he had a great season. They have fallen asunder. And I hear people talking about, how, they sell off their prize players and all this kind of stuff. But at times this season, they've been absolutely tragic. Tragic. You know what I mean? And I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I think it's like, do you know what it is? It's like that new toy, isn't it? It's like that new toy where everyone last season was turning around going, oh, look at the football Brighton are playing and how brilliant De Zerbi is and all this kind of stuff and all. Then when you peel it back and you actually look at it, you know what I mean? It's just, for me, it's just no. De Zerbi is overrated. He goes home to Rome. last night and get slapped. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Look at that performance last night. And look at the performances. We've spoken on the Monday mashup. We have spoken on the Thursday tier talk. I've spoken on a number of Brighton previews and all that kind of stuff. At how up and down this season they have been, all over the place. All over the place. And it's going to be very interesting to see, because I would assume they're going to go out. It's going to be very interesting to see now that they don't have European football to worry about. Let's see what Brighton does now with this one game a week or whatever it is. If the Zerbi was that good, his CV would be on every top team's desk. But you know the funny thing, Romy Kenobi? His CV is on all these desks. And this is what I can't understand. I heard Newcastle are interested in him. I heard United are interested in him. I heard Chelsea are interested in him. Now you're talking about Bayern being interested in him. And if United today, I heard people talking about potentially Inzaghi, if they could get Inzaghi out of Inter Milan. I'm not saying they could or they would, but they're talking about it. But imagine Inzaghi, say, goes to United. You could be guaranteed the Zerbi's on that Inter Milan desk as well. It's crazy. It's crazy. Big up, Doug. How are you, my friend? Hope everything is good with your good lady and the youngling, as they say. Hope it's all going well for you, my friend. Good to see you in there. Thanks for joining us in the chat. Bonkers. A good season at Brighton, I can recall. Yeah, a good season. You know what I mean? It's just, he hasn't. And I heard, I was listening during the week there. He went onto our list as well. And I said, if the Zerbi ends up at Liverpool, just imagine that. Just imagine that we're coming out of the Klopp era, the legacy, everything that he's done, everything that he's built on. And we're going to put that in the hands of the Zerbi. Now, I know Alonso's a risk. I know Amram's a risk. I know appointing any manager is a risk. But good Lord. Madness. He hasn't got the mentality when he said, I don't care about trophies, to be happy. Imagine saying that. And listen, it's okay to say that at Brighton. That's all well and good to say that at Brighton, or say that at Spurs, or say that at Burnley, or say that at whoever. It's not okay to say that at Liverpool or any of those top jobs. The Zerbi wouldn't get through our doors at the Bernabeu. Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, if you were playing Brighton in Europe, you'd probably charge him in. That's how far it has fallen. Right, let's get into Sunday's game, because it's a massive game. Share your thoughts in there if you want. Let me know what you think on starting 11s. Let me know what you think on combined 11s. I'm sure we're going to generate a bit of debate out of that. First of all, we take the Gaffer's press conference and we'll talk about that. You can let me know your thoughts on it as well as we go through it. So he first started off, of course, first on the agenda, of course, is the comments from Trent Alexander-Arnold. And he tried to clarify that by saying, he spoke about the parade we had after missing out on the quad. We were so close. Champions League final, 10 minutes from winning the league, ended up with 2 domestic trophies. And we went out and we had a parade. And that parade and the people that attended it, there was 600,000-700,000 lined the streets of Liverpool for the parade. Made us feel like winners, even though we had lost. Lots of rivals questioning, why would you have a parade for 2 domestic cups and all, when some of these teams don't even win anything. But there you go. But he tried to clarify where it was coming from and stuff like that. That Trent is Liverpool through and through. So this moniker that he said, this means more, does mean more. But it's interesting the way Trent came out and kind of ratcheted up the heat on them and stuff like that and all. So it'll be interesting to see how that's taken. Now, whether City take any notices of it or not, I seen Alan's reply to it, and he was kind of like, well, I'd won a treble. Do you not think I'm happy? You know what I mean? Kind of thing. So yeah, it was kind of a response, but a bland response really. But he was talking about it. But I think what he was trying to do, maybe he was trying to get people to understand the mindset of Trent being the Scouser and the Liverpool guy in there and all. But in some respects, also trying to dampen it down a bit as well, because he spoke about how De Bruyne was such a great footballer and Foden such a great footballer and all that kind of stuff. So he was trying to balance it out a little bit. Always big games he was talking about here, Klopp. He says, always big games, probably always will be. Title race decider. Not sure who brought that up pretty early, huh? I don't think anyone will open the champagne after the result, but it's 3 points and it's massive. An incredibly strong opponent. So we don't hide. We want to win, but knowing how difficult it is, that is it. It's a big game. I understand that, and I am excited. This is very much a title race decider. And him of all people should know that, because he knows that when you fall behind City, he knows firsthand how difficult it is to reel those boys back in. He knows. So that conversation is a little bit off. I know he's one out there. Klopp on Kanata. He says, Joe Gomez is fine. Ibu, I don't know. He was rather positive last night, though. He made the right decision at the moment, but it doesn't mean a lot, unfortunately. He will have a scan, definitely, and I don't have the results yet. Others are fine. So everyone else is kind of fine, bar the ones we know that are missing. Joe is fine, and Ibu will have a scan, so Ibu may or may not make it. I'm okay with Kwanzaa being in there, but I think Ibu was fundamental to us at the back, because I think where they complement each other very well, Virgil and Ibu, because Virgil is kind of more relaxed and controlled and somewhat a little bit reactive, and Ibu was very proactive. So there's a nice balance there between the two. You seen him with Kwanzaa last night. I'm a huge fan of him. You heard me all season talking about him. But I think at times he tries to be a little bit too calm. And I think against City, they're going to have their hands full, obviously, there with Haaland, Foden, and whoever else they put up front. So it's going to be interesting there from that point of view. Ian's in. What's the crack, Ian? How are you, pal? We were talking a few times today. Very interesting. We spoke on the dark side of the ring, John Tenta, today as well, which was very interesting. Good to always get opinions. He said he enjoyed the video that I did. It was only a short one, but most of those dark sides, they kind of are. I mean, that one was an interesting one. Klopp on Anfield. Anfield has from time to time been an influence on a game. Come on. The atmosphere our people can create. Am I allowed to say it's second to none? Or are people offended by that? He's good. And he was funny in the press conferences as well for the Sparta Prague games as well. So it was interesting. It's good, massive, energizing. These are games you want to play, to watch. Anfield for us is a massive, massive factor. The people will help us. He's talking about the crowd. So instead of turning around and going, we need you guys on Sunday, the narrative is already set. Man City are in town. They're going to get the welcome that they can expect when they arrive. They're also, and there's talk that they're not going to stay overnight in Liverpool. They're going to travel down because of what happened last time. We kept them up a little bit there, I say. But yeah, he's talking about that. He doesn't need in this press conference to turn around and demand what he needs from the crowd. The crowd will know, and they will be in full voice. They know the nervousness and how important this game is. Klopp on Guardiola's rivalry. I don't feel it's a rivalry, but I understand you call it that. We are both competitive and want to win. Both blessed with really good players in our teams. That is it. Not a rivalry what we have. Said it before, if we meet in the future, it will be full of respect. Not an opportunity to meet more often yet, but I say how much I respect him. We have a lot to talk about, but on Sunday, it's not about me having that opportunity for the last time. We could meet again in the FA Cup, but it's just the game of the weekend. Probably. Being able to be part of that massive, fantastic. We have a few players who have played this game 20 times, but the excitement is special. We do it with our tools, so let's see. Has been a rivalry, hasn't it? Has been a rivalry. Klopp on the Man City battles. If you watch Haaland, he is smart. He has no battles with one defender. It is all different. So this was in response to a question he was asked about if Kanata isn't ready and Kwanzaa goes in there, what way is that battle going to be handled with Haaland? Was the question. Where we understand it, but football doesn't work like that anymore. Man marking, we have to defend City. If Van Dijk could nullify Haaland, then Foden fires the ball in, or De Bruyne, or Rodri, whatever. Just not possible. Virgil versus Haaland. Yes, it's good, but then a Kanji on a set piece or whatever. This game has got so many aspects, and we have about 48 hours to prepare for it. We try to give the right info, and I am excited about the game and that we can play it in the situation we are in. Much better than previous ones. We know we are good. We know they are good. So let's play the game. So he's making the point there, really, that we defend as a team. He's often said it, and that's how it has to be, and everyone has to be on it, not just these kind of battles that we will talk about when we look at the teams. Klopp, the boys showed an exceptional mentality this season, started with strange red cards, winning games with 10, crazy injuries that we still have, really tough. But the boys showed up fantastic. I'm really happy with that. This is the decisive part of the season, showing great mentality to early March. You wouldn't qualify for Europe if you stopped now. So far, so good, but let's not stop. In other words, job half done, guys. Job half done. Clap on Guardiola. All the trophies he's won, but you see him on the side, and it's like he has never won one before. The desire, I do the job myself, so I see excellence when I face it. So many different things over the years he did with his teams. Always possession-based, but sometimes long balls. Ederson in years ago. And then Aguero waits, and it is difficult to defend. So many different things over the years. How can I judge managers from the past? In my lifetime, Pep is the outstanding manager. Gaffer, don't talk him up too much. Don't talk him up too much. What else did he go in? Klopp on potential Kwanzaa start. Massive development. He just stepped up. He came back, and it was not that everyone at the club knew he'd be the next one, but we knew his talent. It was how he would deal with Premier League quality strikers. We wanted to give him the chance to show that. We thought he had the chance to do so. Centre half, number 5 at the moment. Gomez was not full back reserve. Klopp asked about Salah. It was in German, so it wasn't translated. Klopp on form. Klopp seemed in good spirits for his pre-match press conference. It's a short turnaround given the club only landed back from Prague around 12 hours before the press meeting. But the Liverpool boss was in fine fettle as he prepared for Sunday's huge game. And that rounds out the press conference. So nothing in there that we kind of knew or didn't know. Certainly he was playing down the narrative that they're trying to build, the final battle between these two guys, the last time they potentially meet at Anfield, all this kind of stuff, which we would expect. Where are we? Roll me one Kenobi. Doku is looking unlikely for Man City. And the funny thing, I want him to play. He hasn't been good. At times. Daz, what's the crack? How are you, my friend? Barry Wendell, Mike Rotunda, WrestleMania Hall of Fame class. Absolutely. US Express. At Aces, now we embrace in or the Wyatt family. Yeah, we're probably getting closer. It'd be interesting as well, because if the two boys are getting inducted, those two boys could easily induct Bray Wyatt, the dad and the uncle. So who knows? Romy One Kenobi. Our Don has no rival, saying as Barca go through managers like money. Absolutely. He says, now we need Bray. Oh, yeah, I just went through that one. Saying that one again. Shout out to everyone on the live stream chat. Have a wonderful weekend. You'll never walk alone. Absolutely. We'll have a wonderful weekend if it happens. What do I want to talk about? Let me know your thoughts, folks, before we get into the lineups. I tried to put together today kind of a combined 11. Let me know your thoughts on it as well. I did see that as well, Aces, today. Old Trafford is gone. Yeah, it looks like they're going to demolish it and rebuild. That's the news coming out today. Be interesting to see how United fans react to that news. Should be interesting. Sometimes when you get rid of your stadium and you build a new one, you can somewhat lose your identity for a number of seasons and stuff like that. So let's see what way that goes. Now, what I did say on this combined 11, Acers is in straight away with Alisson. I said I'm only using players that are currently available. So that's why I didn't put Alisson in there, because it was a toss-up between Ederson and Quiveen. So it's only players that are available. I'm not going with players that aren't available. Hence the reason some of the picks. That combined 11 up lineup is frightening. It is frightening, isn't it? Absolutely frightening. But let us know your thoughts on it. Is there anything you would change? Is there anything you would move around? I went with a 4-3-3 as well. You could have went with City's typical lineup as well. And maybe you put then, maybe a Kanji gets in, or maybe Ake gets in, or maybe you change it around a little bit. If Trent was available, does Trent go in before Kyle Walker? Is there a case for putting Bradley in there? Or would you go more I kind of went a bit safer, if you like. Nothing wrong with Bradley; he's been outstanding. But Kyle Walker for me was kind of that safer option. I went with Robbo on the other side because I think he just gives us that bit more. But obviously, it's going to be a massive game for him on Sunday as well because he's only back from being out. And he's only getting back into that rhythm again and stuff like that. So let's see Robbo there as well. Midfield, I think the midfield kind of picks itself. Again, there could be arguments for slight changes. Rodri is nailed on. For me, when you're doing a combined 11 and City's involved, Rodri straight away goes into that position. Endo has been outstanding this season, no doubt about it. But Rodri, he's the champagne of sixes, isn't he? The champagne of sixes. De Bruyne can't be left out. And I put Mac in there because I think Mac has been one of the signings of the season. Absolutely sensational and so pivotal in everything that we do. Haaland goes in there in the middle, just a goal-scoring powerhouse. Foden, who has been unbelievable, definitely goes in there. I think Phil Foden gets in ahead of Luis Diaz. I think he gets in ahead of most people there. And of course, Mo Salah on the right. But it is absolutely frightening. Can you imagine a situation where the club would have this? And can you imagine even looking at that combined 11? Imagine what the bench would look like. The bench would be incredible, absolutely incredible. And I was listening to LB's channel there. I think it was yesterday, and he was talking about Paqueta off West Ham. And he was talking about how City will probably go back in for him now because these gambling charges now have all been cleared or dropped, apparently. And he was also talking about City getting in Musiala as well off Bayern. Now, can you imagine City next season with De Bruyne there, and if you have to take De Bruyne off and you bring on a Musiala or, you bring in a Paqueta and all that kind of stuff, God, they would be frightening. Absolutely, Rodri is a machine. He's an absolute machine. No doubt about it. I can see Man City getting Musiala, yeah, absolutely. And isn't that the scary thing? Talk as well of Bernardo Silva. He was talking about how he probably exit and go to PSG. So it kind of makes sense then when you're bringing in the likes of Paqueta and stuff like that. No, but it's just it's so interesting when you look at how City do their business. If you can park the allegations and the charges and all that kind of stuff and just look at it from a footballing point of view and see how they piece up and how they do their business and all, it can be frightening at times. Frightening. But that was the kind of combined 11 I came up with based on players I knew that were playing and that were fit. I mean, obviously, I think if Alisson's fit, I think most people put Alisson in instead of Ederson. I don't think there would be a use. There's probably a conversation for Trent and Kyle Walker. Who knows? Everyone has their own preference. I think Kyle Walker defensively is probably better. I think Trent gives you a bit more going forward. That would be the argument there for me. What is up, my friend? Big weekend for us. What's your prediction for Brentford? Let me know your thoughts on it. But this could be very interesting. This weekend, Liverpool could go from first to third, and Arsenal can go from third to first. It's going to be very, very interesting this weekend. This is a pivotal weekend in the title race. I'm happy with taking Alfonso from Bayern. Yeah, absolutely. Del Boy smashing the bleeding like button up and show support for my mate Niall. Absolutely. Cheers, pal. Let me know how confident are you on Brentford, Del Boy. Ramsdale going in goals. I know we were talking about the other night in your chat on one of your shows and stuff like that. Yeah, it's gonna be some weekend, isn't it? Imagine. Right, let's talk about lineups. So I think from a Liverpool point of view, pending on the only kind of two things to be resolved really is, does he go with Joe Gomez and maybe bring Conor Bradley on later? Or does he keep Conor Bradley on and does he go with Joe Gomez on the left? Who knows? Does Robbo get sat down maybe? Who knows? Then the only other one I think is Kwanzaa. If Kanate is fit and available, Kanate plays without a doubt. Now, that doesn't mean we won't see Kwanzaa at some stage in the game. We could. But I think that's the only difference. And when I was putting together my 11, the information about Kanate was still up in the air and stuff like that. I think the midfield is the midfield that we had prior to the injuries and prior to the Asian Cup and all that kind of stuff. So McAllister on the left, obviously No conversation we had there. McAllister's unbelievable. Curtis obviously out with the injury, so that makes the conversation much easier. Endo in the six, who has been how this man is not picking up man of the match accolades at times is bewildering to me. I think he's been in the shout about 5 matches now and still hasn't picked up one. So there's definitely one coming. But I'm really looking forward to that midfield battle when you look at who's in there. The likes of Rodri and Stones potentially, and De Bruyne dropping back in there as well. And then you look at Dominic in there as well, bringing that power and that energy, that kind of nearly box-to-box feel to it. Workhorse in there, tracks back all the time, always defending for his life, that kind of thing. Endo the same, fighting for every single ball in there. But the dynamic between Endo and Rodri is going to be very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm looking forward to that. And then I think the front line picks itself at this stage. Mo Salah on the right, he'll be there. Darwin bringing the chaos, hopefully, and Luis Diaz on the left. Luis Diaz last night, I think he put in quite a shift last night, folks, didn't he? I think there was a bit more about him and stuff like that. But you Darwin Núñez shown Luis Diaz that when you cut in from left onto the right, that's how you put the balls in the back of the net. And that was a sensational goal. For City, just take your comments first. Where are we? 4-0. 4-0 the Arsenal. Absolutely. I think so as well. I can't them. And I tell you, loads of talk last season and all about how great Brentford were and Thomas Frank as well. And look at Brentford at the moment. I know they've lost Tony Moore for guts of half the season and stuff like that over the gambling stuff and all. But they've really had a strange season as well, Brentford, looking over their shoulder and stuff like that and all. And Thomas Frank is another one who was getting huge applause as well. Does Thomas Frank drop into the De Zerbi conversation? Is it the same kind of situation, just not as bad, probably, I suppose? What's the crack, Dale? Any chance jumping on, fella? There you go. Kelleher, is it? At Del Boy TV, that's just first half. Yeah, that's just first half. Yeah, absolutely. Bonkers. If Kanate don't play, Gomez play centre and Bradley right back. Yeah, that could be the lineup as well. Absolutely. Great show, Bonkers, actually. Great show. Daz, Niall, did you see the press conference? I did. Which press conference are you talking about, Daz? Are you talking about the Jurgen one? Or are you talking about the Ngannou one? Yeah, the Ngannou one. Interesting. Told Tyson Fury what's what. Where do we see Doku? Obviously, is a risk as well at the moment. Potentially, he may not make it. But obviously, Haaland is the main risk up front for them. De Bruyne, Phil Foden, absolutely sensational at the moment. Bernardo Silva, again with that tenacity and that battling all the time in there. John Stones, what a season John Stones is having since he's kind of nearly inverted in. He slots back into a back four when needed. He punches out into midfield and creates when needed. That killing off that press and all that kind of stuff. Very, very, very impressed with Klopp. Yeah, I seen the Klopp press conference. All right, Daz. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I did see. But let us know your thoughts. Kevin De Bruyne is so influential. He's one that's going to have to be tapered down. Haaland at times can just drift out, can't he, and stuff like that. Like you see, even like against United last week, he kind of just drifts out of it, doesn't he? And the minutes go by at times without him even being mentioned. I think, did I see last week in the United game after about 30, 35 minutes, I think he had 6 or 7 touches or something like that. You know what I mean? So, but as we know, with the quality of that guy, 1 or 2 touches and that's it, back in the net, you know. What else do we want to look at? I suppose the key tactic for us is probably going that kind of that press and that counter as well. You know what I mean? So I think we probably will have to soak it up a bit in terms of the way City play. I think we might even, unusually enough for us, it might be one of those games at Anfield where we cough up possession quite a bit. But I think you'll be looking at Quaivin and Van Dijk to hit those balls, to Salah, hit those balls, those drop balls into midfield to McAllister, and also to Dominic, and also those left balls out to Luis Diaz. And if Nunes can create that kind of chaos in there, City don't really like that. They don't like that kind of situation stuff. You can see at times they've struggled. Even last week against United, as poor as United were, at times when it broke to Rashford and at times when it broke with Garnacho and stuff like that, the panic in that City defence, at times was absolutely crazy. And I think if we can get Darwin doing a little bit of that as well, it could throw City a little bit off their game plan a little bit. We know this season Ruben Diaz, who I think is a phenomenal player at times, but this season at times has looked a little bit suspect. Maybe it's just the times when Rodri wasn't there or something like that, because Rodri does a phenomenal job in shadowing that section and stuff like that. And also, that could be the way. I think if we can monopolise as well on our corners a little bit and stuff like that, and just be a bit more purposeful in our forward play when we get into that final third and stuff like that. Don't just lob balls in there. We know at times City can defend really, really strongly on that kind of stuff. I think we need to be just a bit more purposeful when we're putting balls into the box, picking players out rather than hitting hopeful balls going into the box. And a little bit structured in our play. I'd like to see Luis Diaz at times change it up a little bit. You don't always have to cut back in on the right. You can go on the outside, look for Robbo making the overlapping runs and stuff like that. Let's see, can we get that synergy? That's a powerful left-hand side there with Robbo, McAllister and Luis Diaz. And I think that's where we really need to be. That could be very, very powerful for us. And like we said, if Gomez comes in instead of Kanate or instead of Kwanzaa, Bradley starts and stuff like that, I'm interested to see the Bradley Dominic kind of match up there as well. You'll have Endo dropping in as well to create that kind of space for that tight area passing to kind of pass through City. But I think the pivotal thing for us as well is recycling the ball really, really quick and hitting the front men as quick as we can could put City off their kilter somewhat. And we've seen this season at times, as good as City are and as strong as they are, and we know they're going to be up for this game. We've seen teams, they can be got at, and they can be kind of rattled. So let's test that mentality on Sunday and see what we can do. Folks, let us know your predictions. What are you going for this one? Are you going for a Liverpool win? Do you reckon City might win? A lot of people kind of sitting on the fence with a draw. Henry's in the chat. Big up, Henry. How are you, my friend? Hope you're good. Let people know if you're doing any shows tonight, Henry. Drop it in there. Drop the links in there. I'll let people know. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Liverpool. I think that there's just a bit of momentum about us at the moment. We've rode our luck a little bit at times, but luck has been on our side. But I really think we could win this one 2-1. I think it's going to be tight. Having said that, now when I say games are tight, sometimes there's an absolute goal fest in it. But I think it's going to be tight because I think both teams are going to respect the positions that they're in at the moment. They know kind of what's on the line. Potentially Arsenal are probably going to be top for the Brentford game tomorrow evening. So that ratchets up the pressure that a little bit more. I suppose if Brentford were to go on a mad one or they were to get a draw or something, I'm not expecting it. It's at the Emirates. I'll be very, very surprised if that happens. But I fully expect Arsenal before we kick off on Sunday afternoon to be top of the league. So it would be very, very interesting the way things tighten up if that's the way. And if we both go and draw, boy, oh boy, have we got a serious title race. Right, let's get some of it. No comment from me. Absolutely. John Stones can be got at. He can, but he's also a brilliant player. Daz is going for a 3-1 Reds win. How we would love that. Imagine this weekend if they announce Michael Edwards is coming back, Richard Hughes is coming in, and we go and we beat City to stay top. That would be phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Bonkers is going 3-1 as well. That's it. Put the chest out, lads. Be confident. I think it'll be slightly tighter, but I'm still going to go with a Reds win. I'm going to keep this positive karma going. That's what we want. Nigel, definitely a win for the Reds from the Reds. That's what we want. That's what we want to see, isn't it? That's what we want. Yeah, God, wouldn't it be so nice Sunday evening to be sitting here doing a reaction, top of the league still, and going into a heck of a week. And you're right, Nigel. Arsenal will win, so we have to win. Absolutely. I just want to see goals as a neutral. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, goals, and hopefully for us. Yeah, but it should be a great game. I'm sure it'll be a little bit emotional. It's at Anfield. Potentially Jurgen's last game at Anfield against Man City and against Pep. So it's going to mean a lot to him. I'm sure he'll have the boys well coached and well prepped. It'll be interesting to see what players, what the starting 11 is like and all that kind of stuff as well. Um, Sorry about that. Jamie's on now, Niall, about it, Niall. Absolutely, yeah. So it should be it's going to be very, very interesting to see. It'll be 2-1, but Liverpool will nick a third laid on. How we would love that. How we would love that. Darwin Nunes as well. Darwin. Unbelievable at the moment. That's what we want. So that's it, folks. That's the breakdown for the game. Listen, enjoy the rest of your Friday. Don't get too stressed about Sunday. Let's see how tomorrow's game goes with Arsenal and Brentford. But surely it's going to be an absolute belter of a game. Really looking forward to it. I'm not too nervous about it. I suppose the pressure of wanting as many trophies as possible this season for Jurgen's last season, that pressure still resides there as well. So let's see. Big up to the Reds. Top of the table, Reds. Hopefully I'm saying the same thing come Sunday evening. Folks, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the game. And we will talk to you again real soon. Cheers.